Hey, how's it going? Today I'm gonna be talking about how to start your own bank. I'm gonna be looking more in traditional banking and how process how traditionally people are doing banking. That particular process might be not as good, perhaps, or simple comparing to perhaps starting digital bank or so to say. So, since that process might cost less and there might be a more optimal way to do it, but I want to take a look and understand a little bit better of what would be required of starting traditional bank as well as perhaps some of the digital banking systems out there. Information that I managed to find, it's always a lot of uncertainty in the air, right? Or challenges. So, starting your own bank is a complex and highly regulated process that typically involves several steps and significant amount of capital. It says it does, not really. I don't think, unless traditional banking is. For whatever reason, usually just filing paperwork and perhaps finding a location, but other than that, so if we were to put the numbers, I'm not entirely sure it would cost that much, but I don't want to, the reason why I want to start this channel just to reduce that perceptions that people might have, how hard it can be. It's important to note that the specific requirements and regulations can vary depending on your jurisdiction, so wherever your territory, where you might be based. So you should consult with the legal and financial experts who are knowledgeable about the specific region. Let's take a look at some of the steps that might be required starting your own bank. Usually, you need to understand standards as well as all the safety, all the precautions and everything. But I don't think it's that expensive. If I were within the industry, if I were, perhaps I would do that at some point, just because of the legal requirements and how difficult it can be when managing your money and sharing information with other banking institutions and how expensive it can be. Yeah, I think it's my personal understanding right now. It's a lot easier to start on your own. Than starting anything, you should have a plan. In this particular case, you should, when starting business, you should have a business plan. Define your bank's mission, vision, and objectives. Identify your target market and the financial products and services you plan to offer. Create identify financial projections, include startup costs, operating expenses, and revenue forecasts. Then, for some reason, you need to take this plan to another bank, and that bank should support you when lending you money, I guess. So money. And then that bank has agreement that he cannot support any other banks, right? So again, so I don't know who. So if I were to build a car, right, I were to go to top car brands and I would ask for their opinion or what would be required, I guess, when building a car, and they're gonna support me. Legal structure and regulations. Choose legal structure for your bank, such as corporation or limited liability government company (LLC). Perhaps it's referring to either way, depending on where you are, right? So, if you are in Ireland, if you are in Scotland, if you are in England, if you are perhaps in the US or different regions, it might all the company would have different structures and just do your own research to understand what might be best for your particular circumstances, right? Register your bank with appropriate government authorities and obtain the necessary license and permits. Capital requirements. Determine the minimum capital requirements set by regulatory authorities. The amount of capital needed can vary significantly depending on the type of bank and jurisdiction. Find a location. Secure physical location for your bank, if applicable. You will need a brick and mortar presence for customers to have access to your services. So, as I mentioned to you before, it's more of a traditional, I guess, banking systems where your potential and operating business, you would incur a lot of costs, and that cost will need to be covered by potentially your customers. So perhaps having a website and having online presence might be more optimal, IG digital presence instead of perhaps physical presence. But either way, perhaps you might consider having at least one established in one location. Perhaps just that, but not necessarily every town, every location needs to have a branch where people can actually go in, and there would be staff requirements and all the traditional functions that some of the traditional banking systems might have. Management team: assemble a qualified and experienced management team that can oversee the banking operations. Technology and infrastructure: invest in the necessary technology and infrastructure to support your banking operations, including core banking systems, security measures, and online banking platforms. Raise capital: secure required capital throughout various sources such as private investors, venture capitalists, and loans from financial institutions. That's not necessarily something that you need to do, especially in the beginning, but perhaps you might begin by increasing number of customers and offering great services and delivering all the products and increasing number of clients, and from there perhaps down the line you might start looking for how to raise capital once you have your core product and then you have your business model working. Risk management: develop robust risk management strategies to ensure the safety and soundness of your bank. This includes credit risk, operational risk, and market risk assessments. Create banking products and services. Develop a range of banking products and services that will meet the needs of your target customers, such as savings accounts, checking accounts, loans, and investment options. I do understand that what I'm discussing right now, that's traditional, right? So there are perhaps new products up there that a lot of people might be interested in. Cold wallets, something transactions, all those kind of ways of doing business, perhaps not covered within this video. But as I mentioned to you before, we're discussing more of the traditional products out there. So perhaps there are a lot of opportunities. I don't know how safe or how risky they are, and how potentially, if I were to begin anything, how I can mitigate that risk, or potentially for my own operations, as well as delivering great products and services for my customers. I'm not entirely sure how to do it with all the cybersecurity, just to mention one area, right? So it's something to take on board and when mitigating risk. But in the beginning, let's start with traditional banking systems. Marketing and branding: create strong marketing and branding strategy to create customers, to attract customers and build trust in your bank. And just offer great products now. Support communities. Work together with businesses. Marketing and branding: employee hiring and training, recruit and train staff for various positions within your bank. Perhaps if you can outsource everything to technology, not necessarily hiring people, perhaps if you can outsource everything, so we can reduce operating costs, right? And improve internet, right? I was concentrating on those areas. Obtain insurance: acquire necessary insurance cover or protect against unforeseen events and risks. Open for business: once all regulatory approvals are obtained and your bank is fully prepared, open for business and start offering banking services to the public. Just quick note, I'm doing a lot of research with all the blockchain technologies like that, constantly changing, as well as how you're marketing some of the products and services out there, constantly changing. I'm discussing currently within UK's industry, but perhaps the US included. What would be classified and what the regulatory changes are constantly happening within those spaces. So do your own research and understand all the framework. Ongoing compliance: continuously monitor and adhere to all regulatory requirements, and stay updated on changes in the banking laws and the regulations, as well as whatever technologies you're going to be using if it's something that you are interested in. For people who are interested in learning more, I have published a book. Name of the book is Game Strategy. In this book, I'm sharing a lot of information for people who like to learn more. Sharing a lot of information with regards to different markets, where markets are right now, as well as where markets are moving and where industry is gonna be within the next 5-10 years or so. I'm making a lot of predictions for all the business leaders out there. if you are currently doing a lot of research, as well as if you are currently already have something that's already working, some of the projects, some of the businesses that are generating income for you, as well as if you are currently an investor. So there's the information for whatever stage you might find yourself in. Uh, I have published this book, so it would be easy for people out there to understand some of the concepts out there. You can find this book in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has it. Starting a bank is a significant undertaking that requires a deep understanding of banking operations, financial regulations, and substantial capital. I guess this is this is how you should scare people from not doing it, right? So all the business can be risky unless you know what you're doing, right? I guess this is what we're actually discussing. If you don't really need physical location, right? So we are talking already about 100,000 a year or so reduction in overall costs in a good high street location, right? So that's already savings for your business. So how much it can cost to file for opening a company, how much it can cost to setting up all the infrastructure for your banking, all the cybersecurity essentials, how to use, you can set up everything. Would you be able to do it with 10, 20, 40,000? So there's just something perhaps worth noting, and perhaps a lot of research that you yourself as perhaps hiring people and how you would like to run all operations and what might be required. It's essential to work closely with legal and financial experts to navigate the complex process successfully. Additionally, it can take several months or several years to obtain the necessary approvals and licenses. So, patience and persistence are crucial. I completely agree with this part. Yeah, it definitely can be challenging, especially if you are there looking to do something new that not necessarily they have already a legal framework for that. So if they do not have that, and you're trying to do something, then it's definitely a challenge of that. Working together with some of the government institutions. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.